All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and explore how statistics lend some absolutely crucial precision to the social sciences. Think of statistics as, well, basically the ultimate diagnostic dashboard for a nation's economy. Without it, we're literally just guessing in the dark. But with it, we can actually measure the pulse of an entire society, understand complex human behaviors on a massive scale, and give real precision to scientific inquiry. Today, we're going to unpack exactly why these numbers matter so much. To really grasp why this is so critical, just think about how we seek knowledge in our own daily lives. We could use vague, non-quantitative statements like simply saying someone is tall. But, that's pretty vague, isn't it? Modern knowledge demands precision. It's way more useful to know that person's exact height in centimeters. Whether you're a scientist, an economist, a banker, or a government official, if you want to back up an argument today, you absolutely need precise numerical data. Because, quite literally, those who don't count won't count. Before we zoom all the way out to look at the macroeconomy, we really need to clarify what we actually mean by this word. Statistics operates in two very distinct senses. In the plural sense, we're talking about the actual numerical facts themselves. Data that's affected by a multiplicity of causes, like income or employment numbers. But in the singular sense, statistics is actually the scientific method we use to collect, classify, analyze, and draw real conclusions from those very facts. So the key takeaway here is that statistics is both the raw material and the tool we use to process it. So, for our zoom-out approach today, we're going to analyze the economy through four distinct statistical lenses: overall performance, specific economic sectors, regional balances, and government role and policy. Let's kick things off with Section 1, tracking overall economic performance. Now, you can't just walk down the street and guess if the entire country is doing well, right? Economists rely on four exact macro indicators to understand the baseline health of an economy. We're looking at aggregate production, overall employment, national income, and the general level of prices. These specific numbers allow economists to definitively compare an economy's performance with itself over time, or even stack it up against other economies all around the world. Let me give you a quick example of how we track this over time. Let's say statistics show that a country's food production has been increasing at a rate of 4% per year for the last 10 years. That single number gives us an essential, measurable average of growth. It provides absolute clarity. Now, it doesn't mean production increased by exactly 4% every single year. Some years might be a bit higher, some lower, but it gives us that vital, approximate baseline to measure our overall trajectory. Moving right along to step 2, comparing specific economic sectors. An economy isn't just one giant featureless blob. It's like a massive puzzle made up of distinct sectors: agriculture, manufacturing, power, and services. By breaking the data down into these specific slices, statistics let us visualize exactly how much production, employment, and growth each unique sector brings to the table. And economists use this sector data to diagnose some pretty deep-rooted issues, like poverty, using two really powerful statistical techniques. First, intersectoral comparison. This is where they might compare the magnitude of poverty across rural versus urban areas at a single point in time. Second, they use intertemporal comparison, which basically means tracking how that poverty level changes over time. Without these targeted comparisons, trying to solve complex economic problems would be pretty much impossible. Okay, panning out for step 3, mapping regional balances. When we map this out and chart state-wise contributions, glaring regional imbalances become instantly visible. For example, statistics show us exactly the massive agricultural production generated in states like Punjab and Haryana, especially when compared to the much smaller contributions of other states. And the exact same thing goes for tracking the share of different states in a country's industrial production. This data is absolutely crucial because it highlights exactly where wealth and production are concentrated and exactly where development is lagging behind. Next up, pulling all the way back to the macro level, step 4, government role and policy. The government is basically the central processor of all this economic activity. On one side, they collect income through taxes and loans. Then they turn around and incur massive expenditures on things like administration, defense, interest payments, education, and industry or agriculture support. When they decide how to balance these two columns, they aren't just guessing based on gut intuition. They rely heavily on these exact statistics to formulate incredibly complex national economic policies. The numbers literally give them the blueprint they need to function. But to truly master this diagnostic dashboard, we have to look at Section 5, the limits of numbers. Because statistics deal in aggregates and averages,
they definitely have some blind spots. First off, they cannot analyze an individual observation. They care about the monthly income of all employees in an organization, not your one specific paycheck. Second, and this is highly important, they cannot measure qualitative phenomena. Things like honesty, integrity, goodwill, or beauty simply can't be quantitatively measured. And finally, as we saw with that 4% growth example earlier, statistical generalizations are really only true on average. They give us approximations, not exact results for every single instance.
But honestly, perhaps the greatest limitation of all isn't the math, it's us. Expertise is absolutely essential here because there is a vast scope for the misuse of statistics. As statisticians Yule and Kendall famously warned, they can be the most dangerous tools in the hands of an inexpert. Politicians and businesses often manipulate statistics to distort facts and draw predetermined conclusions that suit their own vested interests. It happens so often that Benjamin Disraeli, the former Prime Minister of England, once famously compared statistics to superlative lies. We have to remember, though, that the fault lies with the people distorting the data, not with the subject of statistics itself. When we use data impartially without bias or prejudice, it is an incredibly powerful tool. As King notes in this quote, "The science of statistics is our most useful servant, but its great value is unlocked only by those who truly understand its proper use." Which brings us to a final, vital thought for you to chew on. You are absolutely bombarded with numbers, averages, and charts in the news every single day, and they shape how you view your country, your economy, and ultimately your future. So what does this all mean? Well, the next time you see a bold claim backed up by a statistic, you have to ask yourself, are you looking at an objective truth gathered by impartial analysis, or are you being fed a distorted narrative designed to steer your opinion? Keep that question in the back of your mind, and I guarantee you'll never look at a data point the same way again.